Here's James Moss.
Can you hear
And
me okay?
I hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Not particularly well, actually.
Okay, what about now?
Yeah, that's better. I've just got to
Okay.
change this video. Hang on.
All right, we're live.
So it's good to see you again. It's been too
Yeah,
long,
good.
Ed, really.
Good to see you, and I'm glad that you made some time for us today.
Yeah, well, it's terrific. Um, yeah, what the hell am I doing here? Sorry, I get myself in a mess. I just want to change the screen at the back. I'm
Oh,
trying.
well, it looks pretty good. So the
Yes.
British International School of New York, Manhattan, and that's an interesting topic. I'd like to learn more about that from you as we go forward.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll definitely do that. Hang on. Wait.
All
Change.
right, great. Okay.
Yeah, and so I did prepare something earlier on. Let me just do
All
this.
right, so I'm going to continue this conversation. This marks the start of the spotlight. You are in the spotlight, James. Global Business News is presenting, starting today, a daily newsletter. And the newsletter is this, it's broadcast, which means it's live, recorded, or subsequent streaming around the world. So each day we will have a broadcast, sometimes just me talking about a topic, other times with a guest or more than one guest. But every day at this time, meaning 11 a.m. in New York
Hmm.
and 4 p.m. in London and Dublin and Lisbon, 5 p.m. in Switzerland and CET, and that means 5 p.m. in Cape Town, South Africa. Can you believe that? That whole big swath of
Fantastic. Yeah,
tremendous reach.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and it's 8 a.m. here in
Yeah, I
California.
think so. I've got a few slides kicking around there as well. If
Okay, that's
we
good.
need to do those. So,
All right, so we're
okay.
going to be talking about why James Moss, who is a Brit and an American citizen, is working on both sides of the pond, New York, Brooklyn, and London. James is originally from London, has years of proper experience, proper schooling, and proper senior connections in the city of London. Talk to us about you. Let's get to know you, about your background in the city.
Okay. Well, hi, Ed. Yeah, I'll keep it fairly brief. I mean, by way of background, I have a thing called a British Chartered Surveyor. A fellow of the RICS. So about 20% of us are fellows. Um, and I started my career in property. Been doing for about 30 odd years now. I started with CBREs and worked with developers and have worked with many companies and private individuals, both in residential and commercial real estate. And when I sort of set up in about 2000, roughly, give or take, we were really buying properties in London for people, for clients, and as investments or as for own occupation or whatever. And that business grew very well. And the nice thing, the interesting thing about it is when the fees came in, they were nice and big. And when there was nothing happening, there was no revenue. So it's sort of classic, sort of your trough situation, which we all know so well. So I decided that to to really relieve the cash flow irregularities, the I needed to find a way of doing that. So in the past, companies, real estate agents, those sorts of people would act for landlords. And I decided, well, why don't we just act for tenants? It's a lot sort of easier if we can find them. So the question is, where do you find all the tenants? and stumbled across this thing called relocation, corporate relocation. Um, and as a result of that, basically built a very successful UK relocation company. While still doing quite a lot of private client work and renovation work and a lot of property management work as well. So looking after people's investments and making them money, protecting their capital value, their capital assets, and generating income. Um, and that business went very well. Get my dates right, in 2012, we were the European Relocation Company of the Year. In 2013, we were the runner-up. We should have won it, but some unknown road company beat us to it. We've never been heard of from since, by the way. I mean, they've completely vanished. Uh,
So you have to wonder how come they soared to the height of awareness and then poof.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's sort of, one of those, it's like a sort of one shot wonder, one hit wonder, with a pop music hit, you hear them and that's it, they've gone forever. Um, so anyway, basically in 2014, I then sold that company. And that was, yeah, it was a happy result. Um, and started turning my attention to the United States. The reason for that is I'd always done a lot of business with the US, and I'd always go along with Americans very well. In fact, so well, I actually married one. Uh, and we had a couple of kids, and she was from New York. I'd sold my business, so there was no family in the UK. And I used to live and work in the States like, a lifetime ago. I even went to college here for a while. So it seemed to be quite a
Yes,
good
you
idea.
went to Boston College, and
Yeah,
that's right around
I
the
went
corner
to,
from where I grew up.
yeah, I went to
Yeah.
BC. I also went to AU for a while. And I also went to the University of Reading in the UK, College of Estate Management, which is where you sort of do your sort of your degree or diploma, whatever it may be, to professionally qualify. So yeah, quite a lot of sort of Anglo-American crossover. And in fact, about a year or so ago, I became an American citizen as well, dual citizen. So sort of keeping the family all on the straight and narrow. So 2014 basically set up Curzon in New York, and it got off to a really great start. I was very happy with it. And it's head up the base, the platform to move over in 2016. So that's sort of how I got here. And
So let me ask you a question quickly
yeah,
here about the tech side of things. That's fairly recent rather than back in 2014,
yeah,
2016.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely fast forward to that, much more interesting. So the tech side of life really came along around about 2023, roughly, give or take. And the reason for that is that having spent so long in relocation, particularly, the whole world of relocation was changing. It was changing actually before COVID. And in my view, traditional relocation is actually dead now. And it was heading that way for a long time. And the large relocation companies are struggling really badly. Um, there's no organic way of expanding a business. So one's taking one over, and it's just not very good in my view. The Generation Z, young millennials, the way people work, the way they communicate is totally different, and their needs are very different, actually. Um, and the way they move and the way they work is completely different, and really the traditional models don't fit that. Um, so I really headed in the direction of the app and created an app and a complete platform, complete relocation platform from scratch. And we started that really sort of 2023 that really got going.
Let me
And
ask you a question
yeah,
about the biggest benefit to the customer, the why, is the cost savings, the simplicity, the drive towards simplification
well,
and reduce cost.
it's interesting. I think the whole thing's changed. I think that's part of the equation. But I think people don't relocate anymore. I think they transition across lifestyle, property, work, their sort of whole personalization of that. Yes, I mean, technology does certainly bring the costs down. I think the most important thing is service, actually. I think that is the number one.
More service
Yeah, but I think
and
getting
different.
the right service to the right people in the right way and technology, using apps or online applications, communication tools really is what it boils down to, is a great way of doing it. And with us, I mean, we're sort of fairly diversified. So one of our models is you can do everything on an app, you do everything on your mobile phone, and it's absolutely great. And it saves a fortune, save 60 to 80% easily just by doing that. Then we have a flip side where we provide a five-star full concierge service. So if you need to get a partner of a law firm or a banker over from London to New York in like 48 hours or less, we can actually do that. And that's not all about costs, that's about service. And that is the sort of thing that that I think makes a difference.
So what
And
we're talking about is know-how. The application of your personal know-how is immediately available.
yeah, that's right. I think that being available immediately myself and my team here, and I also have a great team in London, are available sort of, almost 24/7 type of thing. Um, relocations happen, movements, transitions happen much faster these days. Um, Very few people, for example, that we've moved, recently, I suppose over the last year or two, actually, have actually brought any furniture with them. That's a great example. In the good old days, you'd have a 40-foot container and the kids and the whole shebang, and you come over and you rent and your stuff would follow in a boat, and then you get a house from apartment. That's all changed. I mean, I'm not saying it still doesn't happen, but it doesn't really happen like that anymore. And it hasn't for a long time.
Yes, okay. So smaller apartments for the most part, not all, but smaller apartments, condos, uh, drove that. And it's just silly to move bedroom set. You would just want to have a good mattress, okay,
Yeah, exactly.
and get a good night's sleep.
Yeah,
But
indeed, indeed.
so this is so interesting to me um, to cover the news of that. And what you're doing is talking about what a lot of people already know. And a lot of people will find this interesting, even though they may not relocate. Once again, our audience is business and it's related to talent, everything to do with talent development, onboarding, learning and development, and assignments. Now, people are given assignments to go to work with a European-based organization, but often now they're told to do it online, just like you and I are on Zoom.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, before they get on a plane and spend thousands and thousands of dollars at risk of the company. So I would, for instance, I would be told to work in London or Paris or Switzerland by Zoom before you get on a plane. And then once you're set up and you're productive and people like you and welcoming you, and then you get to learn more about the operations by working remotely, then we'll invest in you to go and implement what you've learned and to transfer knowledge and to get experience so that the company can employ you at a higher level based on your experiences. And that is the new world.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. I mean, we focus on London, New York now because
Well,
you've got the two.
where the action is
It's where the action is. It's
and where the
also,
money is.
yeah, it's where the money is, that's for sure. And it's, the two world's greatest financial centers. It doesn't mean we don't do international, by the way, other stuff as well. We do, and we have a really very good coverage. But more, I'd see it more as cherry picking these days. And we get quite a lot, well, quite a lot. We see quite a lot of activity going through London, but not necessarily originating in London. So Australia is a great example. Switzerland, we've had Swiss, Australians, various other Antipodeans coming through. And yeah, it's sort of the London is the sort of connection, but they're not necessarily coming from London. I was out with a client the other day, having a cup of coffee with him. And he's an Australian, just flown from Sydney. And we were sort of chatting, and yeah, I mean, yeah, one of the things that he loves is the whole sort of London, New York thing. He's very into New York. He's a tech guy. He's a serious tech investor. And so what I'm saying is it doesn't have to be totally physical, I guess, is what I'm saying. It's sort of slightly cultural, psychological sort of thing, being on the wavelength, being on the wavelength. So I'm an expat, if you like, living and working and here in New York. But I've done business in Los Angeles, I've done business in San Francisco, I've done business in Kansas City, I've done business in Florida. But the main thrust of what we're doing and focusing on is London and New York. It is transition, but it's transition not just for corporate clients, it's also for private clients. And we've also moved very much back into our real estate origins. And that's really interesting because that's opening up a whole new range of professional contacts, both in New York and back in London.
Let's talk about
Lawyers,
real
yeah.
estate. What does that mean? Does that mean property management?
Yeah, well, in London, we're very established as property managers. So a lot of that is legacy business with clients who bought often in prime London. Like our clients tend to buy over here. If we have clients buying here, tends to be in Manhattan or Brooklyn, more so Manhattan. And we look after, we manage those properties, we let them out, we deal with all the legislative changes that are going on both in London and New York. We refurbish buildings for property for people rather. So those tend to be sort of longer term relationships. But we are qualified and highly experienced in that. We're now rolling that out here in New York, and it's going down a bomb. People really like it. It's a different angle. It's not really relocation. It's more to do with working with family offices and private offices. It's either for end users or it's for investment. And that is a sort of another spoke to our wheels, so to speak. But it's fascinating because again, it's all pretty well international, with some US sort of private offices also now actually getting quite interested in what we're up to. Um, so yeah, it's related, but it's broader. And this is why I use the word transitions, because transitions are so much more abrasive than the old-fashioned sort of relocation sort of animal. It's a totally different thing.
We're talking with James Moss, who's the founder or the owner of CurzonCentral.com in London and New York. And CurzonCentral.com is the website. Go take a look at it, learn more. So you're solving problems. You're a solution provider for people on both sides of the pond, right?
Yeah, and I think that the thing is we go much further than most other. Um, I mean, I'll give you an example. I was chatting to a US lawyer here the other day about um, our property condition assessments, which we're now doing here in New York.
That's an
So
inspection.
yeah, so how does that relate to relocation? Okay, so if you're buying a property, let's say you're buying a property in London, you have to obviously raise, well, don't have to raise finance. In fact, a lot of people don't raise finance, but you do usually in the UK. You get a survey done, you get an inspection of the property, and find out how it works. And you look at the planning, you make sure it's got all the consents. You look at the way it works. You look at the mechanical, the electrical, the plumbing, all that sort of stuff. You look at the construction and so on. In New York, they have a thing called a property inspector, which is like the most basic thing you can possibly imagine. It's you sort of do 140-hour course and you go ticking boxes. I mean, it's really, I think, very substandard. Um, Particularly if you are raising finance or you're dealing with international clients who really need the full picture on what's going on. And you've got to bear in mind in New York, you have things like condo and co-op boards. You have, and these are sort of informal regulatory um, management, property management companies that owns their co-op, they own the building, the condo, you don't. And we take clients through all of that stuff. We take them through the common charges. We look at the financials. We look at the sort of local bylaws. Because a lot of these, again, a co-op's a great example. If a client's buying for investment, you probably don't want them buying co-op because you can't rent the thing out most of the time. And you'd be amazed at a lot of people who don't know that. So
So you
there's,
can't rent it out because of the co-op rules.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, condos tend to be a bit easier, and then you have a hybrid thing called, sort of a cross between the two. And what we do is we flag those things for the lawyers to pick up on. Okay. So we're not actually lawyers. We're not, saying you should do this and you should do that. But what we're finding is that lawyers are referring to us. They're saying, hey, can you go and check that? Can you go and check this? We're RICS, Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors certified. I also have a certified by Columbia University here with in construction project management. Um, we're also OSHA 30 certified, which means we can walk building sites in New York, which is the big thing. If you don't have that, you can't contractors won't let you onto sites. Um, Also, if you're overseeing sites or absentee landlords, which again, or absentee owners, which happens more and more frequently, again, we can manage the contractors or oversee the contractors and the payments and stuff like that. So all of that sort of ties together. Um, People do move. It's interesting, actually. People do move to buy. They don't necessarily, or they're not necessarily all renting. Um, and they really need someone, they need a trusted advisor who can deal with the nuances and know the sort of regulations and, if you like, the elephant traps that are here in New York. I did a big session with a firm of London solicitors the other day, and we were talking exactly about this. I mean, they're one of the leading private firms of lawyers in London, very high profile clients. They're very discreet, so I can't say who they are, but if you think of crowns and stuff like that, you're not a million miles away from the sort of world that these guys work in. And they're doing more here because you have international buyers, people who own properties. They own a place in New York, they'll have a place in Florida, they might very well have a place in London, or even down in the south of France. We see this happening quite a bit. It's always been happening for a long time with wealthy Americans. Um, and we can sort of, coordinate and navigate these things. The other thing that comes into play here is the whole tax situation and the legal structure thing. And if you're buying something in New York, you might not necessarily be holding it in a New York company or a Delaware company. You might be holding it offshore. You might be holding it in the Bahamas, for example, or the Cayman Islands. And again, we're very well versed in sort of stepping, if you like, through that sort of that territory. For years, we've been working with tax neutral jurisdictions, I mean, Switzerland and Luxembourg and the Channel Islands and so on. Also, here in Nevada and Delaware places. So when you're dealing with very sophisticated clients, financially sophisticated, generally they tend to be very sophisticated in their own right. It's very helpful for them to have like a seriously trusted, qualified, and insured provider. I mean, we carry over $1 million worth of professional indemnity insurance and over $2 million worth of general liability. So you're dealing with the real bona fide professionals here. You're not dealing with a little relocation company who's sort of pretty good at showing a few schools and stuff like that. This is a whole different level. And frankly, I wouldn't say is it a much more important level, but it certainly has far more consequences to it. The properties we tend to be working with tend to be fairly substantial.
So I want to thank you for this deep dive, where you've come from, what you've been into, how it's transitioned. I think it's a great story, and we'll continue that. Do you want to display a slide or two using my share?
Yeah, yeah, why not? I put a couple of things together and just really just give a quick flavor.
Yes,
So
I welcome that, and the audience would love to see.
yeah, so let me just find. This is always the fun and games of this thing is finding the right button,
Share
uh, which I am looking for at the moment, so I can.
should be on the bottom.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't see it. It says
uh,
share.
yeah, right to the left of host tools and to
Yeah,
the right of React.
yeah. Yeah,
Now,
yeah, I haven't got it yet, strange enough.
uh,
So I would love to show you, but I don't think I have the opportunity to do so, Ed.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm. I can't
mm,
help you. I see mine, but and it is available.
yeah.
Okay, so
Uh,
let's talk about where you are going while you're looking for that button. Let's just talk about
oh, here we go. I found it.
uh,
They've moved it.
oh
They
good.
moved. They moved it.
Who's they? Zoom.
They moved it. That was really handy. Uh, okay.
Okay, so describe what we're going to see.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a PowerPoint presentation, just a very quick one. Um,
Good.
some slides. Here we go. Let's just open this up. Okay, we're gonna have to just jump into
There
this.
we go. Okay,
There we go. Can you see anything up there yet?
oh yes, there you are on the left, and Statue of Liberty in the middle.
All right, here we go. Let's see this. Okay. Okay, fine. So I've just got four slides here. I'll just go through them pretty quickly. This is the journey, sort of how things we've been talking about and how I got here. So
Oh,
it's
I just love this graphic. I think it's terrific.
yeah, well, thank you. It's sort of the I actually formed Curzon in 1996, but really take 2000 as the marker. I can sort of see how the business developed and and getting 2014 selling Curzon relocation and then the States, and then COVID, which was a really tough situation for us, but we came through it okay in the end, which was good. And then into the whole sort of app development and AI, which are now is now incorporated as a standard part of our app. And that whole tech program is actually moving on at quite a rate. At the moment, we have some very exciting plans to expand that. Um, so just watch this space on that one. Let me see what else we've got here. Yeah, there's a couple of fun shots here. So on the left-hand side, you can see the Manhattan Social Security Office, where we regularly take clients down for appointments and get them sorted out with social security cards and stuff like that. And it's a very government-looking type of place. And the guy on the right was one of our really super clients, actually. Great guy, an Englishman over here with an international group. And I think I moved him twice, actually. And as you can see, we sort of had a celebratory class, which were well into there. But he was very appreciative. He's a great guy. We still in touch, which was excellent.
That's really great. So he
Yeah.
liked you so much and trusted you, he did it again.
Yeah, yeah, and hopefully, his company, who we're working for, we're still working for them. So it's just a flavor there. This is really focusing more on the New York, London aspect now, which we're really very focused on. And I have the yellow there. It's my partner in London. We've been working together on and off for 25, 30 years now. And it's all about client representation, um, and making sure that things go the right way. And it often involves kids, strangely enough. I mean, kids who go off to university and then college and they come back, and the family's quite international. They're moving around. We have a number of Middle Eastern clients who are very much like that. Um, and then we have the whole sort of absentee owner property management landlord. So it's more of a concierge type of service, really. And that helps clients out. And that's becoming increasingly popular. The property management is really private to the individual. Okay, so we're not running blocks here. We're not running skyscrapers and so on. We're leaving that to, there's a whole industry here that does that and does it. I was going to say does it pretty well. They don't do it too badly. But we tend to look after individual properties, okay, or individual groups of properties for clients. And the last slide is actually one which we have visited before, but it's just showing you how we sort of go about renovation, refurbishing, or opening up places, be it apartments in New York, condos, co-ops in New York, or in this case, we actually did a house for a client out in Pelham, which was strange, sort of a bit off our territory, but still in New York, only 30 minutes away. And again, just a bit of insight as to sort of what that looks like. So we really do roll up our sleeves and get our hands pretty dirty, and regularly are on site visiting and look at Gantt charts. You can see the chart here. We had all the notation on it. That's basically chasing a contractor who's behind on time and overrunning on budget, which we don't like. So we're sorting him out. And on the right-hand side here, just some of our qualifications. So say we're ICS, we're certified by Columbia in construction management, the OSHA 30s. We're also members of the New York Planning Federation, which is quite interesting because you can sort of see what's happening, the bigger picture of planning in New York and affordable housing and so on. Again, we get a lot of this in London through the RICS. The other thing to say is we're licensed brokers, although we tend to be on the buying side of the equation, both in New York and Connecticut. But we actually focus in New York and New York City in particular. But I just wanted to give you a flavor there for some of the reasons why we do what we do, basically.
All right, this has been an excellent review. James Moss, thank you for being in the spotlight of global business news. And please
Well,
come back.
yeah, it was great, Ed, and it's lovely to catch up. And yeah, thank you very much for an excellent chat.
Okay, so people can reach you at curzoncentral.com, right?
That's correct. CurzonCentral.com, James.Moss
Okay,
at
great. All
CurzonCentral.com.
right. Now, audience out there, thank you for being there. I welcome your feedback. Reach me by email. Here it is, editor, Global Business News at gmail.com. It'll get right to me. We welcome your feedback, and I invite you to come be a guest someday on the Global Business Spotlight, broadcasting daily from here on in. You got something to say? This is the place. Thank you. Thank you, Jay.